Today you're being tested on what you believe about yourself, about community. It is a test day for sure. Come on in and let's talk about what's going on. Today we're starting with Breath Messiah. So I want you to take everything that you have that's restricting your body, take it off, because we're going to go through some breath work. And this is super powerful stuff. It's going to seem like you're doing nothing, and at the end you're going to wake up and go, whoa, what happened? So we're going to start with Breath Messiah, and then we have EMF rocks coming up. We're going to talk about EMF and functions and how to block, or sorry, how to absorb and transmute EMF. So here we go with Breath. Come on up. Put down in the comments how you're feeling, and do me a favor, hit that button down there, send it to a few friends, because we had 2 previous lives. It takes a minute to get going. Everybody thinks it's a continuation of the last live. Hey
Garry.
Isaiah, how you doing?
Doing good. Let me get my setup right. All right, good. Almost perfect.
Perfect.
So how has
Weather in Mexico? It's fantastic. I'm so glad that you're there with all that cold winter weather.
It's not even cold yet. We got 30 degrees.
30.
We're in the 30s.
Degrees. 30 degrees. That's cold, man.
Hey, it feels good. If it was for the last week and a half, it was 0, 2 degrees, 3 degrees. So I went outside today in some shorts and I felt good.
So I want everybody who's coming in here to put in the comments how you're feeling today. We're going to adjust some of today's based up on what you're feeling. And today, Isaiah, it's a believe day. And it's not only a believe day, it's a day to push the boundaries and the edge. It's also a day to learn, and it's also a day to have some fun.
Okay. And when you say it's a belief day, basically that means we dictate what we believe, or we get to change what we believe. What does
we get to decide what we do believe about how we show up in the world, how we show up in communities, what is fair, what is fairness to me, what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. I mean, today's a really powerful day, actually. It's subtle because the energy is kind of fiery, and but not too fiery, because we're in Aquarius.
Yeah. Okay. So based off of that, I just want people to just move their body, move their neck, just basically be aware and observe how they're feeling. And then after that, what do you believe you deserve to feel, right? And it's not even deserve, it's what do you believe you can feel? Because it's like if you're in pain all the time, do you believe you can be out of pain, or you can be, have presence and feel calm? And I think one thing that was challenging for me was when I was in such severe pain, I didn't believe I could be out of pain.
Yeah.
And
I get that. Yeah, I get the narrative. The story, I remember catching myself telling me a story that I didn't have time to do 10 more sessions when we had the clinic. How was I going to get out of pain? We're all too busy. And I caught myself telling myself that story, the story of me not being out of pain.
Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the most critical prerequisite steps in being better is I believe I can change my state. I can change the way I feel. I can accept this feeling more, and now it's going to be less intense. So.
Yeah, I mean, so breath, if you think about it, Breath Messiah, breath is literally life. In Hebrew and Sanskrit, like breath in Hebrew, I believe it's barak. I'm not probably saying that wrong, but it means life. It means God. It means creator. And that's what our connection to our creator is actually through our breath.
Yeah. And then it even goes even deeper as to God took with his nostrils and breathed life into dust. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That tells us that we're actually pressurized.
Yeah.
He blew us up. That was the first clue where we went wrong because we didn't see the pressurized body. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, it
Yeah.
was right in the Bible.
And it even goes off the we're sand, right? The dust. What is dust? What is dust comprised of? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
Silica. The body's 70% water, 25% silica sand, 5% bacteria and viruses. If you put us in a centrifuge and spun us, that's basically what comes out, water and sand.
yeah. So it's just one thing that I want, especially in this live, is for it to hit home how simple. Like if we're 70% water, we're 25% sand, and the rest is bacteria and all these other things. It's like it's so simple that it works that we just need to come back to simplicity. You know what I mean? We have so much information all day, every day. If laying down on the ground for 3 minutes helps you live a better life, do it every day. That's it. You know what I mean? If doing fascial maneuvers, torquing your body and breathing helps you live a better life, do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, unless you're the guy who wrote me today saying he needed science in order to make a decision whether he was going to do fascial maneuvers.
Okay, so that person, for example, what are they looking for in the science? Like what are they because
It's to satisfy a deficit where they need to be told something about their own existence in order to be okay. If I need science to tell me how I feel in my body or if something's going to work, it's because I'm so disconnected. I no longer know how to sense what is right and what is wrong.
you
So you can
can't
only imagine
feel,
what your life looks like, right?
that makes sense. So this okay, because it's like light is a form of medicine, right? The sun is a medicine. It can do it can do amazing things for you if you just spend time in the light. But it's do you need to know that the sun has powers, or do you just know that it feels good to be in the sun? You know what I
So
mean?
think about it this way. Medicine would imply that it needs intervention, but since we're actually photonic, we emit light at the cellular level. We're actually a part of the sun.
Mm, I see what you're saying.
We're photonic. I mean, we emit light. That's how thermography works. We emit light. We are light
Yeah,
beings.
yeah, yeah.
And when you look at it that way, see, it's like we have all these things that we use to describe our world, which make us separate from the
The
creation that
actual
we really are.
thing. Yeah, I see. It's really we just need to remember how much we're connected to everything, down to everything.
Yeah, and the word remember is a really powerful word because if I was to dismember you, I would take you apart, all your limbs. Remember is to bring all the information from all the limbs back to a side, to remember, put it together so that I can perceive again. And if any of these limbs or areas aren't sending information, I don't fully remember.
Okay, okay. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna remember the essence and connection of our breath. That's my intention for this entire
There
life.
you
To
go. And that means
remember,
breathing, that means taking breath and putting it into every piece of tissue that we have in our
yeah,
body. That's how we
yeah,
remember, is we bring life to all the parts of the body. Because when I bring breath into my body, into my fingers, then by default, my brain has to sense it. If there isn't any breath there, my brain stops sensing it until there's something to sense.
yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's, so
Yeah. It's like when people come to talk to me about the body, I'm like, we're just on a different wavelength or planet.
yeah. What is the out of all the different categories, which ones have you been able to resonate most with in the like the quantum world, the like because each one has a framework that which they operate from. A chiropractor operates, you know what I mean? The body and the mind is this happens.
Fascia,
Uh yeah,
fascia. None of them. Yeah, none of them. Because they all deal with it starts off with the I am that I am. We were taught and we were trained and habituated into a belief sequence, and belief is the most dominant force in the third dimension. And because third dimension is three, which is three beams of light, which gives us the ability to ocularly see or triangulate experience, which is about belief, which is also the stomach, which is also the planet Jupiter, which is also the throat. What I speak, I believe. So you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So the idea of I am that I am is there's three beams of light. There was darkness, and then there's a beam of light, but there's no reference to that. So there's another beam of light that crosses it, and then there's another one that crosses it, creating a triangle. Now, human beings by default are built up like our DNA is a bunch of triangles put together. That's what a DNA is. If you want to make a shirt for yourself, the pattern you use to cover your body is triangles. That's how they make clothing, triangles. So, so if you think about it, when you say I am that I am, what they did is they took a beam of light and then they capped it. That's our infinity. And that means the letter I is very symbolic too. It's not only the word and how it sounds. Then it references a thought or a picture
Three
in our head.
parts.
Yeah. So I am that I am is in the root chakra, which is okay, but it's the lowest state of awareness. It's the animal in us. I create, I feel, I love, I speak, I perceive, I embody. Those are different ways of expressing, right?
Yeah.
And the I am that I am, it was written in the Bible, was written from the preference of the root chakra, which is the lowest state of awareness. It's because I am that I am is infinity, the light cap, letter I. Now the little I is a man with a head on top. So little I is capped. But I am that I am, the original text was EYE. That means I'm observing the am.
Yeah.
And this is where we were fooled because we take reference to the sound and tonation of I am that I am.
Without
but what we do is
breaking
we
it down.
reference it in this limitation. So
Yeah.
fascia is, we are made, so part of this is, here's a way of thinking about the human experience. We are not a human that has a ball of energy around us. The human experience is a ball of energy that at the center of it is this stubby little human, which is the densest, lowest form of that entire experience. It's part of it, but the human that I identify with, I was taught to identify with, is the lowest form of the experience. The highest form is the energy around that I live in, or I exist in. So, so by saying that, our energy is, where does fascia? People always ask me, how many layers of fascia are there? And there are infinite layers. That's what I kept getting when I was channeling it. And I used to get angry at whatever I was channeling, whoever channeling was channeling to me, or I was channeling. I'm like, it can't be infinite, finite. I can
There's
measure it.
limitation. Yeah.
So then I got it. It's like, oh, the fascia is our aura, of which only you and I can only see the am. We're restricted. See, some people see it, but dogs see it, animals see it. You can measure it with equipment, thermography. So fascia starts at our aura, and some of it you and I can see. So then the question is, all of the science and work and the brain dominant, muscle dominant creation of man, I am that I am, the animal in us, it only recognizes the lowest form of us. And our crystal, our fascia is crystalline in structure. It's water and sand.
Yeah.
Breathe life into us. And it's got bacteria, which is a crystal. We are a crystal. We're an organic crystal. And when that crystal is clogged, we don't fully integrate with our field, our aura.
Yeah.
So that makes us separate from our creation, which is the field. We weren't created by biology. We were created by an idea.
Yeah. This just connected a couple dots for me. So whenever I started to like go away from religious, I started understanding like Christ, crystalline
Yeah.
structure. So basically, to be Christ consciousness is you've gotten your body to operate from that Christ, that crystalline, you know, geometric pattern.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And then I was like, okay, like what are the chances of all these crossovers? Christ consciousness, crystalline, crystal,
Yes.
you know, and then I was like, okay, so then I was like, Christ consciousness is getting the blood to be in a geometrical pattern of a crystalline
Correct.
structure.
That's structured.
Yeah. And then now the body has the ability to internally and externally reflect that crystalline structure.
Yeah, because we're not separate from the energy. The crystal is a part of the energy, but it's just a denser form. Like a
Yeah.
crystal, you can measure a radiation from the
Yeah.
crystal. But technically, the way it works in quantum physics is the energy is there, and part of it you see the crystal, but the energy is not separate from the crystal.
Yeah.
And Christ consciousness, like when we say Jesus Christ, Jesus was the man. Christ was what he taught.
The struck. I
He
see. I
taught
see. I see.
he taught that we were all one. Well, how does that technically work? Well, we are water we're in a sphere of water, Earth, and we are a ball of water in there. But that is suspended. Even that water is still energetic frequency. It's vibration.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of people that have worked with Christ consciousness. People that carry the name Chris or Christopher. That comes from the etymology of that name is from Christ consciousness. They were the teachers.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And when things make sense, we sense it. Pisces is our connection, which is number 7, which is a planet, which is the planet Neptune, and that connects to, and that's the purple, the violet, and that connects sense. So when things make sense, we're right here. When I embody them, we're right here, because after sense, I embody it, because I'm not going to embody something truly
Makes
unless it
sense.
makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's so cool. That's so cool.
it's a lot encoded in the language that we use. Words will either limit us or liberate us. And words are the electronic leash that we are not even aware are there. And when we put a leash around us, a word is creation, create, trope, vibration. And with every vibration, there's an equal action or opposite reaction. There's a reaction. And when enough people believe in a single thing here, then it becomes so. That's why when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile in Vancouver, Canada, that's why that year all those people broke the 4-minute mile, but half of them didn't even know that he had broken it. They weren't aware of it because at that time they didn't have enough communication.
Yeah.
So when you run mice through a maze here in the United States, that same maze, the mice run faster in China the second time, and the third one in India run faster because animals or nature is connected through sense to the greater consciousness. I mean, we have the ability through our perception, our neocortex, to stand outside of and observe us. Otherwise, we're just like nature. Like birds, they all fly together.
Yeah.
They all fly at the same time. Animals move, and they know through sensation, they know how to do that because they're responding to the command. There's a command that comes down and moves all of them simultaneously.
Yeah.
You couldn't have each one of them make those decisions in real time. So we have the ability to stand outside ourselves. So when my consciousness is here, I am that I am. But when my consciousness is here observing myself, I am.
I am. Yeah. That's good. And that's what we're gonna do. So during this breath exercise or breath activity, I want I want each of us to allow ourselves to just observe our breath. We're obviously
Okay,
going to be
perfect.
experiencing our breath, but I want us to observe it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to have our hands about 6 inches apart. You can have them wherever, your belly area, your heart area. Just have them around you and just take a couple of deep breaths and feel the energy. And if it's okay, if you can't feel the energy, that's okay. Like as a starting point, just see if you can observe the feeling. And then move your hands just a little bit further apart. Do the same thing. Just observe if you can feel any sensations. Two more times. Last one. All right. Whenever you're ready, just move your neck, move your shoulders. Just observe how you're feeling. Observe how this body is in space. And then the first one we're going to do, we're going to keep our hands right about at our heart level. And all we're going to do when we breathe in, you're going to pull your shoulders up and look up. When you exhale, you're looking all the way up and dropping those shoulders. So it's going to be inhale, nice and tall, look up. Exhale, drop those shoulders, look taller up.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
Here we go. 6 times. Inhale, nice and tall, shoulders up, look up. Exhale, drop those shoulders, look up higher. And again, pull those up. Drop those shoulders, let it go. Look up tall. Exhale, release. And taller. Release. Best one. And release. One more time, just observe. Take slow breaths and observe. Whenever you're done, once again, move those shoulders, move your neck, observe how you're feeling. Okay.
Quiet.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, we're going to put our hands right on top of our shoulders. And that same exact thing, now we're just going to guide it down. So imagine letting go, just like help yourself let go. Okay. And then after, we're going to do the same exact thing with our hands. Okay. So as we inhale, we're looking up, bringing our shoulders up. Exhale, we're dropping those shoulders. Use your hands to press it down. Here we go. 6 times. Out of your mouth. Just observing our breath in through your nose, out of your mouth. Observe your body, every breath. Let it go. Best 3. Drop those shoulders. 2 more. Drop those shoulders. Best 1. And drop those shoulders. And then hands right in front of your heart. Just feel, observe, breathe. Once you're done, one more time, move around, move your shoulders, move your neck, see how you're feeling. We'll do one more, then we'll do a little check-in to see what we noticed, what we were able to observe. This next one, we're going to go wider with our feet. So almost like your hips are nice and wide. And now what we're going to do is we're going to inhale our hands all the way out, stretch. When you exhale, you're going to exhale all the way down, touch your thighs. So inhale, reaching, exhale, dropping right down to the thigh bones. Once again, inhale here, exhale down to those thighs. Here we go. Same thing. Stand up tall. Exhale, release. Just continue to observe your breath. Drop it down. Inhale taller. Exhale, drop it down. Best 3. Stand up tall. Reach out. And drop it down. Last one. And drop it down. One more time. Hands in front of your heart. Just feel, observe, breathe. Whenever you're ready, wiggle those toes, wiggle those fingers, move your neck. Yeah. Tell me your experience. Tell me any things that you were able to observe specifically.
When I want to be really present, I picture observing myself in my own reality. So I stand outside and picture actually looking at myself. And it's really hard for me, it has been, sorry, it's been really hard for me to see myself front on. I could always see myself standing up here from the back. I was able to move my vision and actually observe myself standing, lifting my hands and stuff like that. So it was a change for me because that's been with the advent of actually doing something in the body
Yeah.
and not using the brain to think about it.
Yeah. That's awesome. What I noticed the first time versus the third time, like the first time I felt like a very like soft, subtle. By the third time I felt like it like my hands were like really like energized.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling, for me, because we're at the heart, I just feel, observe the green energy moving around this, because this whole area around here is all green. So I feel the energy passing through me. My natural inclination is to see the green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels very calming. When I'm talking, like if you take a little bit of THC or psilocybin sometimes or ketamine or something, you almost you hear yourself talk. That's I'm entering that state right now. I can hear myself talk, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just let's do 3 more, and then let's go a little bit lower. So instead of holding our hands right here, let's go around that solar plexus area, and that same exact routine. But now this time, when you inhale, I want you to squeeze your hands. When you exhale, I want you to just let go. Okay, so you're inhaling, you're squeezing. You can exhale with a sigh, or you can just blow it away, whichever. Every breath, just create constriction. Every exhale, create more space. Here we go. Inhale, squeeze, and release. Again, squeeze, release. Three more times. Squeeze, release. Stand up real tall, squeeze, release. Best one, squeeze and hold, and release. Just feel, observe. Whenever you're ready, wiggle those toes, wiggle those fingers. I like what you said earlier about the observing yourself from front on, because I don't think a lot of people practice, like, we always will see our reflection, but we don't imagine
Yeah.
like what that's like. And doing that, I just experienced it.
It's been tricky. Like I can see myself from above and behind, but when I look at myself front on, it's like it seems to occupy a lot of my conscious power or thought, the ability to remain conscious, because I keep losing the image, and then that's the one I'm bringing back in.
Yeah. And that's so interesting because that is essentially our self-perception and other people's perception of us, because we're creating that for other people to experience.
Interesting. You know, I'm every time we do this, and maybe just your
Yeah.
energy, I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel freaking high. I mean, I do. Like I'm getting kind of the, like I said, the echo in my head.
Yeah.
Every time we do breath work, I get really high, and we don't do a lot. I'm used to doing forceful breath work.
Yeah.
Let's hold. It's safe. You're like, stop. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Don't breathe. Hold it for 2 minutes. It's safe. That's
Yeah.
kind
Yeah. That's, I mean, honestly, completely being transparent, that's why Breath Messiah is, because I just want to share. This shit will do a lot of things. It will do things that I don't even know yet. And it will also make you feel more comfortable. Like every time I do it, I just feel more comfortable in my body, in my being. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that's
if
a
and
good way to say it.
that's what I want to bring to the world, is people feel more comfortable by taking a deep breath. I feel connected to myself. I feel connected to the world. I feel part of something.
Well,
And
so
it's like,
the funny thing is that what that connection or feeling of connection is in the body, it's a release of serotonin. Serotonin is what makes us feel connected. That's hormones codify or bring the experience,
yeah,
because we can't have an experience without the hormones.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like if you block
Is there?
the production of adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol, you wouldn't feel any pain. That's what
Yeah.
beta blockers do. They block that sensation so you don't feel the pain anymore.
Is there a way to like test hormonally how much of something you have, like how much serotonin in the
Yeah.
body, or how much?
Yeah, I mean, there's like, first of all, the typical ways that we test biologically. So what happened was, when in the clinic, I would test people, and I thought, what happens if I tested myself 3 times a day? I had access to the equipment.
Yeah.
So I did. And what I found is that a lot of these tests that we think don't change, they do change. So one of the things that you can do to do this, if you wanted to, is you could test your hormone power. One good way is a saliva
Yeah.
test. That's a good way to do it. And then test before and then test after. Now there's machines that work like the AO scan,
Yeah.
the Beamer,
Yeah.
I'm going to forget them now. But there's frequency machines that actually are really good
Conducting,
at telling you what's
and then
in.
they
Yep.
feedback. Yeah.
Like the AO scan is pretty cool. I mean, when I tested it out, they use a picture and a voice, and they do it so you don't even, not even there. They gave me a scan, and they could tell me ingredients or nutrients that I had in my body that they could tell me from that things that were not normal. They could tell that I had ketamine in my system when I did it, and it was an AO scan. I'm like, whoa, how? And it was over the phone. So frequency, the truth is that your voice print is more accurate than your eye print than a retinal scan. But your voice tells you within the frequency of your voice, because we are a harmonic being, and when we speak, it's a combination of all of the energies and frequencies coming out. That's why when people come out of stress, their voice changes.
And you can almost tell what somebody's going through based on how they're speaking too.
Yes.
Like you can, there's a level of interpretation in it that we just innately know.
Yeah, like when you're speaking, it's all coming from here and here. You're speaking your heart, and you can feel that. But a lot of people, when they speak, they'll be speaking their liver, they'll be speaking their stomach or their spleen worry or their bladder. So when people talk to me, even online, I can tell. I just feel
right
my
away.
body, and
You feel it.
people go, "How do you know?" And I'm like, "Well, it's pretty obvious. I didn't have a bladder issue, and I'm talking to you, and I have a bladder issue. So I'm pretty sure it's not mine."
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying, because that's how when I first started teaching breathwork on Clubhouse, you couldn't see their faces, you couldn't see anything, but I would feel exactly where that suppressed energy was. So that's where I started being able to be like, okay, we're going to do some heart openers.
So
you know what I mean? Because I can feel it.
Hold on a second. You're 0 degrees, but what sign are you?
Gemini.
Oh, yeah. You're literally my opposite. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're the other side of me. Yeah,
'cause you're sad,
and
right?
to be a 0 degree Gemini, it's a really unique one, because Geminis are not great feelers. They're really good at thinking it. But being a 0 degree, and I think you have Pisces through your chart too.
Pisces and my moon.
Yeah.
Moon sign.
Yes. So that's where that connects your thoughts with your emotions and your sensing. Yeah.
I don't
What's
think
your rising again? What's your rising?
Libra, balanced.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and which is the lungs. Your thought, your thought, your emotions are, and your lungs, Libra is about the scales of balance. Yeah. I mean, that makes you the breath messiah. Like literally, it's Gemini, both sides of the brain. It's your sense, your third eye, your Pisces going up there, and then regulated by the lungs, which is, I mean, that's how you got your name, breath messiah. Yeah, you just didn't know it.
100%.
What's your middle name, Isaiah?
Carlton.
I'm gonna do the etymology on your name. What I do is I take the names that people have, and I go look for the Greek and the Hebrew meaning, and then I tell a story based on the name. Because what the name is telling a story. Like my name is Nathaniel, but it's AEL, which is IEL means a gift from God. AEL means God has already given, and then my middle name is Gerard, which is the jewelers of the Royal Crown in London. But Gerard means a spear that pierces the water. And then my last name is Lineham, is to find a new homestead. So God has given a spear that pierces the water to find a new homestead. What am I doing? I'm a Sagittarius, the spear piercing the water, fascia, are to find a new home.
I've done it, but I think the last time that I've done it, it was, so Isaiah means God is salvation. Carlton is a free man's name, or a free man, like a free man something, and then Franson is like something with land, or I can't remember.
I'm going to do it, because individually they all mean something. But it's to tell a story with the name. Because the story, I make sense out of the story, right? It's because they go together. They're not independent. So it's linking them together.
All linked, because one thing could have been a little different, and it changes the whole story.
Yeah. You could have changed my first name from an A to an I, and it would have changed the whole story. Or you could have changed my middle name to have one R versus two R's, and it would have changed the whole story.
So where did Garry come from?
Garrard. Garrard. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so what I tell people, if you're listening to this, is go look at etymology of your name, and then go look at Greek and then Hebrew. Those are the two that are gonna give you the most the clearest interpretation. And then read a couple different definitions of them, and then put together a story, because there'll be a very practical one. It means this, and then there'll be. Then when you read through a couple of them, they'll give you a little history. So you build a story on the name, because the story you'll know when you get it right, because it'll just feel right.
Yeah, that's what's happening for me, because last week sometimes somebody came up, they're like, Isaiah the prophet, and I'm like, like, oh, ha ha ha. But then I was like, okay, well, that's already existed. There's truth in it. So let me look into what does that mean. And then I was like, oh, my prophecy is bringing breath. Like, that's my prophecy. Like, this is,
you woke up to that, and you knew that that's what you were supposed to do. But you're a grandmaster Gemini. I'm a grandmaster Sagittarius. So with that, and what that means for everybody out there, it's not a pecking order. It just means that in that state of awareness, you have in other lives lived all of the other experiences up to that experience.
Yeah.
Which usually means that in this life you get the shit kicked out of you really early.
Yeah.
Because you gotta encapsulate all the experiences from other states of awareness, and you gotta get it all done in that first 30 years. So it's like stuff that other people learn over their whole lifetime. You learn 10 of those in that first 30 years. So that's why everybody who's at a 29 or a 0 in our group, every single one of them has a story in which it sounds like they've had the most horrible life in the world.
Yeah.
But really, that's just our training ground. It's our PhD.
Yeah. That's your process of becoming Hercules. Hercules didn't wake up and was Hercules. He had to go through the training of the decapitating the 3-headed dragons and all those things, and that's our training. Yeah.
Somebody asked what numbers are grandmaster numbers. Well, 0 and 29 are, because consciousness starts at 0 and protect, and 29 to expand. And so it goes around in a big loop. But along those lines, like if you're a Libra and your number was 6 in Libra, 6 is the number for Libra, that makes you a grandmaster. But there's two types of grandmasters: those who are here to experience it, and those who are there to push the envelope. 0 and 29. 0 and 29 is a very specific. Like if you are a 3-degree Sagittarius, you're a grandmaster. Mm-hmm. If you're a 6-degree Libra, if you're a 9-degree Aries, you're a grandmaster. If you're 10 degrees Taurus, you're a grandmaster, or 7 degrees Pisces. Yeah. But those people seem to live within the container of that experience. When you're a 0 or 29, you're here to either bring something through from the other side or push something out.
Yeah. That's so cool. And then what would you say, like, how does numerology and astrology, you know what I mean? Because obviously they're all one.
Yeah.
You know
There's a lot of different ways to look at it. And I think the best way to it is that numbers have a meaning attached to them. And it's like, tropical versus Vedic. And they're like arguing about who's right. And I'm like, they're both right. And this is what people don't see. It's not who's right. It's like, because all of those things are doing is describing something, so I get a reference point. And if it resonates with me, then it's right.
Yeah.
It's what I believe at the end. And so numerology, what I like about Serious Joy and Chris's system is he downloaded a step system, which is like a cipher for numerology, for astrology, for everything that's a number in this world. And it's really basic. It's just 0. It's just 0 through 12. And what happens is that step system, it allows us to interpret or make a meaning to something. Like, when is your actual birthday?
May 21st.
So 21st, okay. 2 is feel, which is Cancer. 1 is heart. Feel your heart, and 3 is believe. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So feel your heart, believe is a part of how you function. And 0 is protect. So feel your heart, believe, and protect. And that's what you are. Protect an idea, protect what your heart believes, protect what you feel. So that's what you are. That's how you're made. You protect it with knowledge, with experience, with all these different things.
That's true. That is true.
So that's how I decode the world. I ask people all kinds of questions, and I look at things. When I ask a question, consciousness, it's like, what is the answer to this? I look around and there'll be a nature somewhere. It'll be like 2 birds fly by, or 5, or something. And then I go look at what does that bird mean as a spirit animal? And then I go, what is 5? And I'm like, oh, there's my answer.
Yeah.
Now, all it's really doing is it's triggering. We have every answer that we ever need in our field. So when we're thinking about it, this is the jury rig, right? When you go to a website and it doesn't load up right away, a little clock comes up, and what do we call it? It's thinking, right? So that thinking is telling you how slow the bandwidth is running. So when we're thinking, all the information is already there. It's already in our field. So thinking is the definition of how slow, how long it took for us to take that idea
What's
or
already
that feeling
there.
and convert it to an idea which is usable. So thinking has been the moniker, the peak of our existence, which actually is thinking is the definition of how stupid we are.
I agree. I think if you really would like to be more intelligent, you get more into the body, because that will create more awareness and make space in your brain to be observant of other things. You know what I mean? And that's what I learned through the first time of doing Human Garage and even these other like Goda and all these other physical movements is, if you were to study all day, like study, you're not getting smarter. But if you were to just get into your body and release some trauma, your brain has space. Therefore, you have more room to intellectually grow or to, perceive in a new way. And that's where it's like, it seems backwards, but it's simple. It's like, if this is my lowest part of myself and this has more space, well, automatically the thing above me has to also expand.
Yeah. So you can there's that starts to unpack a lot. We're the job of the brain. The brain is not an organ, by the way. We treat it like one, but there's 10 organs inside your body, your fascia, your skin. The brain ain't one of them. Okay. Small intestine is one, which is connected to the brain. So it's an appendage from an organ. And the job of the brain is to narrate or explain the experience so that you can translate that feeling, because experiences are feeling based. So we can explain or narrate the experience. And when we're thinking about the experience, you say intelligence, it's intel. How do we get intel? We get intel from the way something feels, the way it smells, a perception, a memory, a past experience. Those are all intel. The brain collects all of that together and organizes it in a way that we can process it. That's all it does. And the bigger the emotion, the more the brain gets panicked about trying to explain it. Like, why do I feel that? And then it looks for a reason. That's why we go, it's you who made me feel that way.
This is so fascinating. Like this is so fascinating. It's so fascinating.
I understand. Think about it this way. We use Google to translate everything, right? Yeah. To log us into all of our different accounts. We can sign in with Google. We can use Google to translate, Google to ask questions. So what is Google? It is basically holding a database, a cipher, and it's relating all these things together into something that I can process. All these different. Well, that's what we are. We are Google, and when I know the body intimately, like if I know how everything feels in my body, and if I can separate myself from you, so I know when you come in contact with me and you feel a certain way, then I have intel.
You
And
have
if
that.
I don't, if I can't
Yeah.
feel myself from you, I have no intel, no
Yeah.
intelligence.
Yeah. And this is where it's like this is like the self-investment into knowing how you feel, knowing what I feel great, I don't feel good. Like, because now if I understand that, somebody else can, I feel great, somebody else that doesn't feel good comes into the field, and now, oh, you know what I mean? That's where it's like it's so cool watching, because it's like, how do you know that? How do you, well, it's like, because you're feeling it, you've been collecting intel about yourself,
Yes.
and now it's another form, but it's reflecting what you're feeling. So it's,
If I
of
know
course you know.
thyself,
Yeah.
then I know the world around me.
Yeah.
If I'm unclear about how I feel, interpret, process, then when all that stuff comes in and hits me, all that energy, I don't have a way to
Yeah.
process it or understand it.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
it's, my journey was I had a weird experience in 2020 around time in that year. I understand the pretense of quantum physics, but it's not something I studied, no.
Yeah.
Like I understand the principles of how it works and stuff like that. So what happened is we had a quantum physicist over, and he started talking, and I just started talking back. And then a minute later, I'm like, where the heck did that come from? I have no idea where it came from, but I just interpreted in a flow.
Yeah.
I completely talked back with him, sharing the experience. And the only thing I can say is, well, I was leveraging his interpretation.
And expressing what you have available to you through, and now it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it was intelligence. Intelligence.
That's so cool. This is, yeah.
Yeah, this is why breath work and but breath is our life, and breath movement is life. Anything that moves creates an action and reaction. Without movement, we have nothing, no stimulation. So movement is life, and breath is the original movement. And so even if I can't move my rib cage properly, if I constrict it and try to breathe, I start to get stressed. My body literally starts, my adrenaline starts to go up. I can feel, I just from that, I can feel my stress coming up.
This is so cool. I'm fascinated. So let's go ahead and finish these breaths, and then I'm just gonna go lay down and just soak it all in, because I'm over here like, whoa. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start up tall. When we inhale, we're gonna imagine we're pulling in extra air, oxygen. You're pulling in yourself. Once you get it to your heart, you're just exhaling, pushing it down. Yep.
Pushing it down or out?
Yep. So pull and then pushing it down.
Okay. So
Pulling it,
pulling
it from the sky, from the heavens into our heart, exhaling it down in the way.
Okay.
6 times, nice and tall. Squeeze and pull it all the way in. And exhale, let it go. Reach tall. Exhale all the way down. Inhale, pull it in. Last one, nice and tall. And release. Hold those hands. Just feel.
Yeah, I just feel high. I mean, it's bizarre. Every time we do this, I keep saying this every week, but it's because I don't get how simple it is to how euphoric or high I feel.
Yeah. Look, I haven't figured it out either. So when I do, I'll let you know. The one question I did have too was, has there ever been a big group of people on THC, psilocybin, doing fascia maneuvers, and what is like?
I mean, the short answer is define big. I mean, we've tested it. We actually brought in a team called Brain Mechanics to test our biology, our brain scans,
Yeah.
our photonic scans, our tropic fields. While we were doing this with a group of about, I think, 12 or 15 people.
Yeah.
But the reason why we take THC and the reason why we take psilocybin is to restore our innate sense.
The
And
natural, yeah.
that's why right now it like THC and psilocybin has virtually no effect on me because I live in that innate sense. The only time I'm not there is when I'm stressed out. And like I don't know if I told you this, but I was, I don't know, 10 days into a fast, and I decided to take 340 milligrams of MDMA and like 120 milligrams of THC at the same time. And I had crickets, nothing, zero, no like, it was like nothing had happened. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, let's do more.
That's wild.
So but what we do know is like when we have 500 people in a room doing fascial maneuvers together, or we have 1,500 people online, I feel dramatically different. And we're going to be doing is by the way, we picked the date for Austin. It's going to be the 18th and 19th. And we're going to be there for a while. So we're going to invite you up there if you can come during those times.
For sure.
We're going to be there for about 10 days or 2 weeks as well. So we're getting a big mansion to bring all of the people that we work with in. And I think we're planning for about 2,000 people. So we're gonna have 2,000 people doing breath and maneuvers at the same time. Now that's gonna like flip a switch. I know it is. I expect lights to go on and off and shit.
Yeah. That's intense. I just want to comment on one person. She said it's harder to Maggie. She said essentially Maggie, it's find it harder to breathe in my nose than my mouth, more restricted in the lungs. So what's a fascia maneuver for that?
Okay, so they go to our website and do the entire upper reset. That's likely because there's a head forward posture and there's pressure through here. But the sinus release will work right away. But I would do the entire upper reset. And then with that, you've got the sinus release and stuff like that. And do that every day. That will go away. That just means that you have too much pressure here, usually from
looking
from
forward.
this.
Yeah.
Head forward because that creates pressure
Strain.
there. But as soon as the head comes back, then the pressure goes away.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say just practice standing up nice and tall. Put your hand on your diaphragm and slowly start getting that pump to feel like you can, because if you don't feel like you can expand here, you're not going to. You know what I mean? And if you're always
if you put your head forward and breathe,
it's way harder.
and then because what happens is there's a little nodule on the top of the nose on the inside, and when the air flows over it, it releases nitric oxide through the whole fascial system. And when that's restricted, because it should be technically easier to breathe in through your nose than your mouth. So upper reset, you do that a couple times, it should bring you back to normal.
All right, Garry. Well, appreciate you today.
It was awesome.
Another great one.
Thank you as always.
Yes. See you next
Take
week.
care.
Peace.
Bye-bye. That was pretty cool. I mean, I certainly I feel high. That's what I still can't get exactly why I feel so high. Okay. So we're going to be talking to Justin here, and we're going to be talking with Justin from EMF Rocks. We're going to be talking about frequency and the crystalline structure of the body. Now, there is nobody that understands the crystalline structure of the body better than Justin. And I think he is coming up here right away. I think, let's try this. So I'm going to try and invite you, Justin, here. What did you guys feel with that? Oh, there you are.
Garry.
How you doing, Justin?
Great. How are you?
Good. I just realized that I just had a Gemini on, and now I have another one.
I heard that.
Which were the Gemini
Are
day,
you?
and today's a Sagittarius day, which Sagittarius and Gemini are two ends of the same stick, right? So isn't that just ironic or funny? I mean, like you can't make these things up.
Hey, well, I mean, I think of it like this spine. So, yeah, we're one's at the top end, but there's a bottom end to it as well.
So so tell everybody. I mean, people are getting to know you, starting to get to know you through our community. Tell them a little bit about your background. We know you're a Gemini already, and so tell them a little. And your wife's a Taurus, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She's March
yeah,
23rd. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
That's not
or no, no, she's Aries. That's right. So yeah, I'll read her chart. I want to know. So tell them a little bit about how you got into this. I mean, you have athleticism.com, you've got EMF rocks, but tell everybody a little bit about the background. Like, how did you get here?
Yeah, so I started off in the health space 26 years ago, working with the amateur and professional athletes. And I actually read an article in the newspaper about a guy making athletes better athletes. And that was at a Scripps clinic in La Jolla. And I just went over there at lunchtime and said, this is what I want to do. Before that, I was the epitome of a Southern California kid where I just was an athlete, two-sport athlete, varsity all 4 years in high school, soccer and tennis. And I ended up wanting to go to USC to play tennis, and I got hurt. And both my wrists gave out. I think they were misaligned from just lifting too heavy, and then I kept playing on them. And so literally two-handed backhand, forehand, I couldn't hit a racket at all. And so that ended my tennis career. So I got into basketball, and that was my outlet. But in addition to that, my dad had a neurological challenge from surgery. He had a staph infection in his spine, and they waited too long to operate on him. So when I was 7, they made him a quadriplegic by waiting too long to operate on him.
I didn't realize your dad was a quadriplegic.
Well, he retrained himself to walk and move again, but he had neurological challenges, just nerve pain his whole life. And so from age 7 on, I was always looking for things that would help facilitate healing. My dad and then me, I always knew my health wasn't optimized. I had 18, I ended up getting mono, and my system was clogged. And until I really looked into eating cleaner foods that I wasn't allergic to, that's when my system started to flush and I started to heal. So literally my early on, kind of the funny thing is what you were saying, Geminis get their ass kicked for the first 30 years or so. Mine was the first 20. And so from there, I just I had a gift for seeing things in sports and movement that other people didn't see, and gravitated into the health field. And so from there, it's gone from doing nerve work for sports performance and primal reflex training and just some incredible systems along the way, from Dr. Darren Weissman's infinite love and gratitude, the lifeline technique, to emotional clearing stuff. Literally doing that years ago. I was one of the first guys to eat a sandwich like a banana and peel the bread off of it because the bread wasn't enhancing for me. And they didn't have a protein style when
They didn't have
when I was
lettuce wraps back then.
No. So it's been quite a journey to get to here, where I'm using it's all about light, sound, frequency, vibration, and bringing in energy, and working with basically the nervous system, which is essentially the fascia system, to really optimize performance. And so that's where I've gone in on with my practice, and I treat concussions, and we do some really fun stuff with athletes. I teach people to juggle, and we have one of the true unique human performance programs where we actually have an ambidexterity program where we're working on this whole body, whole brain, and connecting more pathways from above and below, and then from that, Garry, I saw an athlete breaking down. I shared this on the last slide, but we had a really strong fit athlete breaking down from wearable technology. He comes in, he said, Justin, my wrist has pain in it. And it was right below his smartwatch. And this is over a decade ago. And I said, well, let's take the radiation off your wrist. And right from there, the pain went away. And so that was really the aha moment for me, where I knew I wanted to look more into the universe, the physics behind we're one with the universe, and how this electricity is just manufactured differently than how we are. And so that brought me in on this journey of looking to nature, because we all look to nature to get grounded, right? So, yeah. So did I, and that's where we brought our EMF Rockstar grounding bags with hand-mined crystals to the market, and now we're one of the leading natural EMF protection products sold through doctor clinics all around the country, and then have since rolled out an array of products from toothpaste to MCT oils, lean oil, to plyometric jump bands. The list goes on and on. My wife has an essential oil company called Campo Beauty. So we have this incredible suite of products that we brought to the market. All are sold on athleticism.com. And you know, we just keep learning from grandmasters like you, my sensei, my new sensei, my new mentor. And well, new meaning I've probably been following you for about a year now, but the information that you share has just absolutely been amazing. And I want to lead the conversation by talking about the connection between the pressure system of the body and your breath work.
Yeah, and you know this because you're a free diver. You know what pressure means.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but let's go back into the fitness world. So I did, so Steve Cotter, so I have a really fun background where in our gym growing up, or we're with at Scripps Clinic, Shiley Pavilion in La Jolla, California, we had Steve Cotter, who is one of the two guys that brought kettlebells to the US. And Steve Cotter has IKFF kettlebell certification. And then we also had David Weck, which is the founder of the Bosu ball in our program. So we had some just amazing guys in there. And so Steve Cotter, I would just get lessons from all the time. And he talks about this pressure system on the breathing. And when you can do the contractions, you actually get more out of your load. And so he would have you purse the lips, and then it's really, you know, really tight breath. So it's more like airway restriction. So you're restricting the airway, and we don't get that. The only time you get a restriction of airway is when you're exhaling underwater or you're playing a horn instrument. And I feel there's some type of a pressure system where your VO2 max, your lung capacity, everything gets stronger with that. But what I'm learning from you is when we counter rotate it and do that with the fascia maneuvers and even purse the lips, it's you're getting exponential results on unwinding the system and allowing it to have hydrogen, or excuse me, oxygen and nutrients that it's never had.
But I can't wait till you actually come and because it's going to freak you out a little bit when you actually come and touch me, because you know that when you sit in water, your body absorbs the water, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's around us?
Yeah, air.
Yeah,
Ether.
which is water. So when your fascia is loose enough, when you grab onto me and you feel me breathe, you'll feel my body expand at my knee, at my calf, which is partially bringing in and saturating more tissue inside my body. That's why when I'm sitting down, we were doing a breath test. We do it as, you know, CO2 Tuesdays. And he was like, he kept testing me, and I'm like 2.5 to 3 breaths per minute sitting, and just normally, right? And he's like, whoa, wait a second here. And it's because I'm getting more satiation from the breaths that I'm taking. I have more expansion. I get more tissue. And because that's really what, at the end of it, that's what the Bohr effect, I only need to breathe to get the tissue full. And then when you scuba, when you dive down and you blow all your air out, it squeezes you. So it squeezes the oxygen out of you. That's why when you come up and you go, it feels like you ran a marathon because all that oxygen goes, your cells go like this and then they go squeeze, 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 and they go poof.
I love it. And we did that this weekend. I got your buddy Raw out here in Laguna Beach, and we charged the ocean, and it was about 57 degrees. We were in it for 25 minutes or so, and had a good time.
Yeah, that would have been fun to watch. So,
Yeah.
so explain this a little bit, okay? You came to know. I mean, you got a lot of products in that, but one of the things that we were talking about specifically today is the EMF rocks. I mean, this has become a major issue. I mean, beyond anything else. What is out there as far as EMF protection, and how do the rocks work differently? Why do they work? Let's get into that because that's what I think people want to know.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the physics of the universe too, and really backtrack a little bit and how we're one with it. So, I always ask, like, what's our environment? Just what you just asked. And it's air. Let's lean in on it's everything around us, and it can kill us or allow us to thrive, right? And so what I really want to lean in on is the atmosphere, which is ether, plasma, and these waves and particles travel through it. Now they can be native or non-native waves. And we're one with
for people native and non-native. Let's break that down.
So a native waveform is a scalar wave. It's the foundation of every waveform, which is an unpolarized wave, which distributes equally in every direction. So the universe isn't a one-directional wave, right? We're all interconnected. And when you drop a pebble into a pond, does the splash of the pond go in a straight line to the right?
No, it goes everywhere. So
Everywhere.
then we go to a non-native wave.
They're all one-directional, Gary, or they don't work.
And the reason why is because I've got a device and I got to get to a tower. So it's optimizing the signal to get to a specific point.
Yes, exactly. And so they have to manufacture this stuff to be a polarizing waveform. That's different than how we're made, or else it couldn't communicate with something specifically, because they're looking endpoint to endpoint. And then ultimately the Internet of Things is to interconnect everything. So we're all interconnected on this stuff. And that's at least what they're selling. But that's not enhancing for our body because it's so different. And then when we understand, let's look at the speed of these waveforms. So you can pick up a meter and measure a speed of a waveform. And the meters are designed to measure certain speeds, like a milligauss meter, magnetic field will measure about 50 to 60 hertz or waves per second. A dirty electricity meter, a Stetzer electric one is one of my favorite. You plug it in the wall and it tells you the static in the line, the amps to volts. And that measures 4,000 to about 100,000 waves per second. Then you could get a wireless meter, like an acoustimeter, and that's going to measure in 50 million to the billions of waves per second. So these waveforms have certain speeds. Now, there's a guy named Dr. Martin Pall out of Washington State University. He discovered through his research that the voltage-gated calcium channels, those are 4 big words for the gateway for your cells, mitochondria, to get energy or voltage, are immediately disrupted with low level. So ever since we put electricity into our homes, Gary, it's been challenging for our bodies. And on the scale of all the bigs, cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, infertility, the cancer, they've all gone skyrocket since electricity's come into play. And there's a lot of other variables too, but the one consistent one that's increased probably the most is the non-native EMFs. And that's all documented in the book, The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg. Now, when we're sleeping, our brainwave state is 1 or below 1 to 8 hertz or waves per second. That's a beautiful delta or theta brainwave state, which is really close to the Schumann resonance of the healing pulse of the earth at 7.83 hertz or waves per second. And then when our athletes are in the flow, everyone calls it in the zone, and they can't miss, their brainwave state's about 8 to 13 hertz or waves per second in an alpha brainwave state. So when we convert these to waves per second, everyone can understand and grasp that the 2.45 billion waves per second of a cell phone, the 60 to 90 billion waves per second of a one-directional 5G phone are completely different, and so 10 zeros faster. So if we add 10 zeros to someone's bank account, that's a big difference. You add 10 zeros to the speed of a polarizing one-directional waveform to our environment, that chips away at our biofield, that changes the chemistry in our body. It's a huge difference, and it's really disruptive for sleep.
So, I mean, so the idea is that, I mean, to sum it up, is that our our natural waveform is native, and it goes out like ripples in a pond. Devices and electricity is like an arrow that pierces that native ray. So instead of circulating, I got one that goes right through to me. I hold the device, it's cutting through mine, which is breaking my circuit technically. And whatever happens in the outside happens in the inside. Would that be a way to explain it?
Exactly, 100%.
Okay, so then the traditional ways to do this, to block this, is we use things to block it or things to convert it, like a device that converts it, or a challenge it changes a waveform, or another one that pushes it away. But those aren't necessarily the most effective way. They do something, they feel good, but there's not necessarily the most effective way, right?
Right. And my take on it is, and we've already acknowledged it, that no one does it better than nature.
Yes.
So the key to everything is to get out into nature. And Eileen McCusick says it in a really profound way. She says we get a negative charge from the earth, we get a positive charge from the unpolarized light of the sun. We'll breathe in minerals. Hopefully we get it from our food these days. And then we get more from the water, and then we get that the water is the conductivity of it all. If we're missing any one of those key elements, that's where our body battery is going to be compromised, and we'll see signs of dis-ease or lack of energy. So for me, since nature does it best and has the most incredible resonance, why wouldn't we use that as the answer? Because we already use it outside. So we're taking her resonance and we put it in a bag, and the bag looks like this. Basically, they're hand-mined crystals, and then we put it inside this, and this is the end product, that you put on your bed to create a coherence. And so then the question remains is, how much of the resonance of the earth can I bring in my home to create that coherence, that balance between all these polarizing waveforms? So we've established protocols with it to do that.
So the idea is that, and the reason why, because when you first sent them, the first thing I did is I opened up the bag. And I'm like, damn it, he didn't make this easy to open. And it's like, my son's like, because you're not supposed to open them. And so the idea is that the crystals are silica crystals. So they actually match us, because
Yes.
we are absorbent of these frequencies, and that's why they're wet. By being wet, and doesn't affect, of course, the signal goes right through the bag like it goes through a wall. So the wet crystal is a more effective crystal. If we're dehydrated, we malfunction. So that's why you keep them in the bags. Now, what they're doing is absorbing, when that one directional line, I got this big circle around me, the drop in the water, and then that one line spear comes through to me. I put that absorbent bag down below my bed, and it's enough to draw the signal away from me and my disruptive field. Is that a way to say it?
That's exactly it. And when you can create that coherence and the moisture. Let's think of it this way. It's not wet, meaning like soaking wet. It just has a moisture content. It's alive and it has a resonance. And so shungite, amethyst, black tourmaline, all the other known crystals that have magnetic resonances in the market, you can display them, you can wear them. Ours, you can't. They have moisture with magnetic. So if that moisture is exposed to air, it dries out and turns to dust pretty quickly. So we double seal our products to preserve them. They'll last 2 to 4 years, and they're beautiful pink crystals, and they do have a lot of silica in it. And that's this whole, how we mine them, we hand mine them, the properties that are in the crystals, the purity of the stone, and then how we deploy them are all reasons why they're so strong. The resonance is really powerful. And I was on yesterday and someone commented, I was on your live as well, just in the audience. And someone said, hey, I bought the grounding bags and I didn't sleep well that night. And the reason someone doesn't do well with it is because they have to flush that layer of toxicity in their energy field.
Yeah, the very first part, I mean, that's the same thing when you start drinking hydrogenated water. Yeah, the very first thing is I feel really good, lots of energy. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm rashing, I'm puking, because I'm getting rid of the toxins. The body is designed to get rid of an intolerance. And when it can't, it just works its way around it and doesn't even bother trying anymore. And that's what's happening is, yeah, I mean, I wasn't in the spot to notice that, but I have heard that. But they have to, what I noticed is it takes about 28 days, which is a human habituation cycle, because light, food, frequency creates a cascading series of hormonal releases and function releases in the body, which are habituated. When I walk in the room and somebody looks at me the wrong way, I already know that they're going to say something. I get angry. I've already got my hormones up. I'm already sweating and I'm ready to jump back at them, because the human experience is a series of habits. The body says, I know what that habit is. I'm going to go right to the end. I'm going to find the fastest way there. And what you're doing is disrupting that habit. That's why it takes a full moon cycle to actually get your body adopted. And it gets better each and every day, I think.
It does. And there's ways to accelerate it. And one of the fun ways to do it is, and this is the only product out there where you can do a self home care protocol of a detox of your biofield. And so what that looks like is, if someone were to have a grounding bags, you literally tap on it. So you can tap on it, and it's like activating a homeopathic tincture. It activates the properties inside of it by tapping. That will 10x. Yeah.
Now so people carry a lot of people in our community carry the little tiny bag. They'll put it in their briefcase. And some of them actually wear it on their body. I've seen them do that. Mm-hmm. And the difference between this and other technologies, like, I mean, let's go there, because it's important for people to know, like if I'm using like an Omni Balance sticker on my phone, if I have it on my phone there, it's doing something to the signal on my phone. If I'm using the rocks, it's actually taking all the signal, non-native signals, and absorbing it. So it's drawing that energy in. It's like drawing it all the toxins away from me. So it's different.
Right. So let me touch on two things. First, I'll start with the other products for EMF protection. I want to ask everyone, do you all like eating GMO food? No way. So why would we want a modified resonance in our environment to try to combat the other modified resonances? To me, it's just not something that makes sense. So again, we look to nature to do that. So what these other products are doing is they're manufacturing resonance, they're creating one, they're putting on a sticker, they're embedding it in a metal, they're putting it on a pendant. So they're modifying a resonance to do it. And there are energy fields in it, and it's definitely different than our energy field. The colors are different. But it's just modified. So we look to nature. No one does it better than nature. So, and it's same thing with plugging in the wall. Why would you want to plug something into your grounding, outlet? Electricity runs on top of the wires. It doesn't go inside a wire. So if your bed's touching the wall, it's charged to the level of the outlet. So if you're plugging something into the ground, you're still in that whole system of electricity. And to me, it's a fuel effort. So the grounding sheets, like Clint Ober's work, I love his book, I love his messaging, his studies, but their products aren't that great. Same with Dr. Mercola.
Yeah.
Like he says, sleep in a Faraday tent. Like he has a great book called EMFs. I wrote one called Grounded by Nature. That's great.
I don't think he likes me that much. I personally, I don't think he likes me that much. I had one really weird interaction with him, and it was because our product, our fascial fuel, it does not require MCT oil to put the body into ketogenesis or into ketosis, and his whole program was around that one message, right? And I'm like, well, no, we use a short chain triglyceride, which is butyric acid. And like a homeopathic, we just stimulate your body to produce more butyric acid. What's more natural than that?
Yeah.
It's back to nature. At the end of it, I think the common thing to say is this, is that people who have nothing else, there are different ways to accomplish the same task. It's not that anything else isn't going to work or create a positive effect, but it's if I can get the best effect, like the best effect for me, and I notice it because I live in nature in Lions Bay. I don't have them down here, which when you come down here, I want you to bring some. I don't have them down here, but the way that I sleep in Lions Bay, I can't describe, and I'm already in nature, and it's funny because I didn't realize I had to lean it against the bedpost. And when I lean it against the bedpost, it changes it.
Yeah. It's got to be touching the bed. So put it between you and your wife at the head of the bed, and you'll notice a huge difference. And remember, all this stuff, this calcifying the pineal gland of these EMF, they're big stressors on the body. So they're oxidative stress, they calcify the pineal gland. Our brainwave tries to figure out what's pinging it in the middle of the night, meaning what are those other ancillary signals of smart meters or cell towers nearby, or your cell phone just downregulate or downloading information. All these waveforms, they call them smart because they're always looking for signals for something to talk to it. So is our brain. And our brain will tap into those waveforms, and then we go into what we call a twilight sleep. So we don't get into that deep restorative sleep unless you're out in nature in a quiet area that has the resonance of your home as close to nature as you can, and that's what the grounding bags do if you live in a really dense area with a lot of electricity.
Yeah. It's noticeable. It really is. When I first tried it, I didn't quite get it because I hadn't put my head into the reasons why, but I did notice right away that it changed my resonance. And I also noticed carrying the little one around. I noticed the difference. And one thing that I have been experiencing though is that EMFs used to have an effect on the way I thought, the way I felt, stuff like that. Lately, since my fascia's opened up into this really crazy fluid stuff, it doesn't bother me like it used to.
Wow, I love that. And that's what I'm really working towards. I think we're all on this amazing healing journey. And we were talking the other day where you're literally, half a dozen years or so into it, and you're just learning. And I'm coming in a year behind, just into your work. And I'm thinking you're the grandmaster, and you're just learning. Yeah, and we're all just, unwinding just billions of stuff that we've accumulated over, the course of all of time. And that's, I've never found a system, and I shared this before. I love systems. I really respect the processes of it because everything has order. And when you can learn a system that really can self-heal. That's amazing. This is all I've been looking for my whole journey. And I think Troy Casey went on and said something, and he's a really good friend of mine. And I backed him and I said, hey, I want to debate anyone on systems, and I'll line up every system that's out there. And I know a majority of them, like, you know, I've studied them. And there's not one that checks all the boxes like your human garage. It just doesn't. And what this opening up this fascia and understanding and unlearning what we've been taught of how the body works, it's so true. I mean, it's not a pulley system. Like it just, there's a pressure system. And when we start to look at the greats in different areas, they'll take segments of, they'll take tidbits of it. Even Olympic lifting, create a pressure system around yourself. There's breath that ties into it. A kettlebell system. There's weightlifting systems out there, just free weights. There's, you know, even movement patterns where you're breathing. There's so many different components that I feel tie into it that are so subtle that of intricacies that we can geek out on forever. But your system is one that literally in the last several months, I was saying the pressure that I've gotten into, and since our bodies are harmonic and we're this holograph of light, and our sound really determines our health as well, I've had more pressure to hoot and holler louder.
You can sing. Which is
it.
crazy. I've Justin, my whole life, I've wanted to sing. I remember from my when I was boyfriend girlfriend with my first wife, my mother of my children. I went to one of those elaborate, and this is back in the late '80s. I went to one of these elaborate new karaoke things where you could go in and sing, and it was basically karaoke on steroids, and they record you. And so I recorded a song for her, and it was a Randy Travis song, right? And I got it, and I'm like, that sounds like shit. I paid a lot of money for it. And I'm like, they couldn't even tune my voice, right? And then I went up a couple times in karaoke because I grew up as an adult in Vancouver, so lots of karaoke there, and I was horrible. I mean, horrible. But now I can sing at pitch, at tone, and like you said, like you were doing the same thing. You can belt it up, and that's how I knew that you were having the experience, because you came to me last time we talked and said, "Yeah, I can sing now."
It's crazy. And so one experience I want to share too, tying it back into those waveforms, that they're invisible, you guys, this EMF stuff. So we don't hear it mostly. Most people aren't able to hear at that bandwidth. But when you get into the water, you can hear it. And go underwater, you can hear it. So on Monday, last week, I had one of the most incredible experiences. I live in Laguna Beach, and there are about 15 to 20 dolphins in our cove. And they were at the north end, and I was watching them for about 20 minutes, and then they just, for some reason, they came right to the south end, right where I was. And so I'm like, okay, got to jump in the water, because that's kind of what I do. It was 57 degrees, so I went out and swam with the dolphins and played with them for about a half hour in the water, all alone. Nobody else was out there. People were videoing, taking pictures. Who's that crazy guy going in the water? That was me. And so when I went underwater, and they started to swim away as I jumped in, and I gave a big hoot and holler, like really loud, with my new strong voice. All of them were like, "Oh, it's a party." They turned around and swam at me. And so it was the craziest thing ever. And then they started swimming all around me, and I kept going under and hooting, and they were eking like crazy. Their sounds are so loud. And normally I could hear them when they're in their coat, but it's softer and at a distance. And these guys were so loud, and then they're smacking, they're cracking that they do. I mean, that scared me. I was like, what in the world is that? It was so loud. So I had them, they were within arm's reach, and for about a half hour we were hanging out. But when there's electric foil board in our cove, Gary, that electricity sounds like noise pollution. and it's like static on a radio station turned all the way up. So that's what our bodies hear with this EMF stuff all the time. And most people don't hear it, but animals can hear it. The plants can feel it with their nervous systems as well, but we just don't.
You know, so let me tell you experience, because part of my journey to reset myself was to harmonize with nature. And one of the ways I knew I could do it is in Vancouver. We have Canada geese everywhere, right? And they're pretty mean. Like if you piss them off, they come after you, and they don't care how big you are. And they'll chase people down. Like they'll chase and they'll bite. It's not pretty. So I would do a facial maneuver session, and when I'm doing it, all the crows would come in, like to the point where I'm like, wait a second here. The first time I thought, wow, the crows are loud, but every time I did it, the crows would come around, and and we're right in nature in the mountains in Vancouver. Well, the geese, I would walk, I'd bend down and do the session. I neutralized my energy. So now I'm present. And I would bend down, and I would just walk through them, or walk through them slowly. And this is the craziest thing, because they normally, if you get too close to them, they move away from you, or they don't, or they'll honk at you, right? And then I'm crouched down right beside them, and they're walking around me. And then I thought to myself, because I'm being completely present, neutral, no thoughts. I'm observing. And then I thought, wow, this is beautiful. And as soon as I did that, it went, rah, rah, rah. A thought is a wave. And a thought caused a reaction. And the other thing I've noticed is that I'll be in the water, and I'll sit up and totally twisted, and I float. Now, I've never floated in my life. I float like a boy now. So I'll be in totally twisted in the water in a fetal position, my knees up, and I'll just be in the cove in Vancouver, and harbor seals there, they don't come around people. All of a sudden, I open my eyes. Jay's trying to talk to me. He's behind me. We're just sitting there, breathing, meditating, doing our fashion, doing our processing of organs, and they're like right there in front of me. And I think the reason why I'm saying this to you is that my experience is where you are telling me you're at, is nature becomes very attractive to us when we're present.
Yeah,
We're one with it. Oh, here's one other story I'll tell you too. You can see this when you come down here, or when you go to, we were at Mayacon, which we were there for a month. It's on the Siacon Peninsula Reserve. And we brought people in, and there are mosquitoes there. Like, we're in the jungle meets the ocean. And my entire life, I've been bitten by mosquitoes. Like, I'm the guy, I'm the magnet. I'm the EMF magnet for mosquitoes. They get me. And now, not one bites me, no matter what. I think there's a harmony, and what it is, it's to have our crystal to be clear. And when we're clear, because our brain is only thinking to manage whatever the imbalance is. And I believe that's what was happening when you're in the water. You use your voice, but the reason they come to you is because you feel in harmonization with nature.
Definitely. And especially dolphins, especially in the water. For me, that's where I really resonate. And these waveforms are so huge. And what I want to let people know is these cell phones aren't security blankets. I mean, get a meter and point it at it, and you're holding a massive battery with a router in it. And that's not enhancing. And then they have GPS signals. And so the meters will meter out. They're so strong. These signals are so strong. Telecom has to have patents and make these sensors or these adapters to even allow your screen to work. So your screen wouldn't work unless they had these other parts to try to, dampen that signal strength or turn it away, or whatever patented device they use, with the millimeter waves that are blasting out of it. That's how disruptive they're. They have departments that all they do is work on creating that, just so your screen on your phone will display things and not be distorted. It's crazy.
And somebody asked a good question, actually, based on what we're talking about, because basically air, just like water, is like when we ionize water, we're just taking impurities out of it and restructuring it. Would it purify the air in any way?
I'm not sure about that. I mean, does the earth
It
purify, you know,
does. It
it
does.
does
That's
on a
yeah,
just,
because what happens is
yeah.
in nature it changes just like water's changed by an ionizer. That'd be worth a test.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I want to be careful on what I know to be true. To say what the way I like to describe it is, it's creating that coherence. So it's taking a one directional waveform and allowing it to not be disruptive for our body.
Somebody,
So what's
I
that?
was to say, somebody asked, can EMFs cause heart palpitations?
Oh, definitely. That so the symptoms are, first, what happens is the voltage gated calcium channel, so mitochondria challenges. And then you have oxidative stress, calcifies the pineal gland, destructures water, 2.45 gigahertz or 2.45 billion waves per second is the start of where EMF starts to destructure water. From there, we've seen in the body, the eyes, the teeth, the thymus, and your intestine areas are the four areas that get decharged. Excuse me. So you can tap on the grounding bags and cover each of those areas one at a time to recharge your body. That's huge. The tapping will 10x it. The localized areas will give your body more polarity, because when you're decharged, it's really tough to heal when you lose that polarity. That's why getting out in nature is so powerful.
Epithelial tissue, eyes, the lungs, and the bladder actually are very related. So that would actually have a commensurate effect on the bladder and the lungs.
Awesome. Awesome. So I think those four are like a athlete sprains their wrist or their ankle so often. Those are more the weak links, and then you'll see the other kinetic chain take over. So the first symptoms of EMF challenges are cognitive: lack of focus, memory, anxiety, fatigue, headaches, lack of sleep, ringing in the ears. Then you go into level 2, which would be more non-trauma concussion symptoms. So nausea, vomiting, seizures, muscle twitches, bloody noses, rashes on the skin, more severe headaches like a migraine. And then you go into the bigs, the cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease. And then the biggest one we're really seeing now, which is infertility. And that's why they're letting everyone into, our countries, because we can't keep up with the population replenishment.
Yeah, it's that's one we'll have a conversation about when you're here, because it is way worse than anybody thinks right now. It's like we think this generation is having kids later. When I was a kid, there was always somebody popping off in high school getting pregnant. All our friends were getting pregnant. We still had birth control back then. But why are they not getting pregnant now? They're having way more sex, and they're not getting pregnant.
Yeah.
And what the general narrative is, it's all because they're waiting till later in life. But what happens is when they try to get pregnant, they become human garage and say, I'm infertile. And that was one of our specialties, was bringing, but that's a whole topic. And I'm going to talk about that. That's actually one of the reasons why I closed the clinic, because I saw it coming. Somebody asked the question, does sunlight suppress EMFs?
Yes. I mean, Dr. Jack Cruz will, is heavy on that. He's like, everyone move to the equator and get to, closer and more sunlight. And those waveforms, he feels, dampens the stressor from the phased array satellites and the Wi-Fi. So a stronger, sunlight will create more coherence for you as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to, the more I go into this experience, the more natural I become. The less I want to use tools, the less I want to use gadgets. Like I've used frequency machines, I've used light machines, I've used near infrared machines. I've used all of this technology through my time, and now choose to use none of it, because at the end of it, what those technologies are trying to do is to get our body and our fascia and our cells to vibrate at a specific frequency. But the reason it doesn't vibrate at that frequency, it's like lifting my arm, it's restricted. And if we remove the restriction, we're there already.
Yeah, we use technology, not let technology use us, and really understand what it's designed for. It's a great tool, but what they're doing is they're using it for surveillance marketing to sell us things just more readily. And you guys, we got to develop some proximity protocols with technology. And my computer's hardwired. There are adapters where you can hardwire cell phones and still be on them. Start to understand, that you can convert a smart meter into an analog. And there's a great documentary movie called Take Back Your Power. Josh Del Sol made about 15 years or so ago. Check that one out. Understand how we interplay with our environment. And even if it's invisible, it doesn't mean that it's not stressing you out. And these EMFs, these one-directional waveforms, are super polarizing. So understand your environment, identify it, grab meters to meter it and to identify it, develop protocols for absorption ratings, how close you are to it. And then at night, especially at night, make sure you at least can turn the electricity off in your bedrooms to get the resonance as low and slow as you can and as close to nature as possible, because we know that we rev one with the earth.
So in Lions Bay, we have one room called the treehouse, and because it's detached from the house, it has its own power. So at nighttime, you shut it off, and the sleep is just amazing. It's bizarre. So a question. A lot of drive towards electric vehicles. What's happening in electric vehicles?
So I had a colleague that was working with professional athletes, and all he did was blood work. And he was so famous, he got picked up by the military to work with special forces guys. And he threw in a variable of guys and girls driving electric cars. And it was the single biggest marker change. They were 18% lower testosterone for sitting on that massive battery. So electric cars is probably one of the worst things that you could do, especially for reproduction, because your organs are right. Reproductive organs.
Electric car, though, okay? I got an electric car. I don't have the ability to fix it. What does it take for me to convert it so driving it's not gonna?
So with our product, EMF Rocks, you want 7 grounding bags behind the driver's seat. And it's the same that it would take to clear a home with solar, because you're storing all this energy in a battery, and that causes a vibration. But when you're in a car, you're just sitting right on top of it. And they try to block it, but they can't block that vibration. So you get the milligauss from the front dashboard, because they have this massive computer on the, which is way bigger than my computer screen. And then it's all self-driving. So you're literally sitting in a microwave and cooking people. So this whole move to electric cars has just got to stop, because to use more of the electrical grid, to use the vehicle, doesn't reduce the usage on the on the grid.
But hey, you know what I'm seeing in China now and in Asia, they're moving away. China's moving away from electric vehicles. They already said it doesn't work. So what they're using is hydrogen fuel cells.
Yes.
Is one of them. Yeah, and really, really, really efficient. They're actually getting better mileage, less pollution out of that. I mean, this is China, and they have made more electric vehicles than all of America has ever done. They make more in a year, so they have more actual experience with them. They have electric vehicle graveyards, and I noticed that the hydrogen fuel cells. So that's again probably going to be the next wave, and I think it's one of the American manufacturers is actually reducing or stopping the electric vehicle. I can't remember who it was.
I'm not sure which one, but I really hope China can go towards hydrogen and roll it out in a big way. I think that would be really helpful for us. And The challenge would be financially. They control about percent of the electrical batteries and manufacturing and supply chain of electric vehicles. So if you are driving a car, everything in it's from China. It's not made in the USA.
There it is.
And
Ford.
yeah, so
Ford. Found on road debt. Ford. Ford stopped doing it now. Okay, but here's a good question. I mean, some people don't have the money. So they said, can they harvest rocks themselves? Is that possible?
no,
Is that
we offer sales,
what?
and Earth Day will have
How much is it? It's not expensive, right? It's not
No,
overly expensive.
yeah, it's the most feasible EMF protection product on the market. Most of them are thousands of dollars. Ours is $139.99 US. And and then you could step up as you can afford it. And then we offer big discounts, just a couple times a year. So especially for international shipping and such. So you guys, it's the most feasible natural protection that you could have in your home. But if you can't afford it, start doing things on your own. So get outside into nature, get grounded, touch a tree, hug a tree if you want, go climb one, even better.
Turn off your power at night.
Yeah, so put your feet, we'll start with outside, put your feet on the ground. Gary's barefoot, most of the week. And so I challenge everyone. I challenge everyone to be barefoot more often and get outside into nature. Me, I'm in the ocean pretty much every day. And so that's my way. And then this morning I walked the dog. I was on the beach. I did my, some breath work down there. So I'm putting in the work. So put in the work is much that you're putting in the work with the fascia maneuvers. Put in the work to ground yourself and to keep that polarity up from the breath work that you did. And then inside, then go through the protocols. Put your Wi-Fi on a timer. You can go $9, get an outlet timer at the hardware store. So your Wi-Fi turns on at night. Hardwire if you can. And then get a switch, have your electrician. It's a little more expensive, but have your electrician get an override switch and then have that on a timer where your electricity goes off in your bedroom at night for at least 6 hours or the minimum.
Yeah, so someone was asking that, and that's a good question. It's like someone said, well, you mean turn your Wi-Fi off? And yeah, great, turn your Wi-Fi off. But if you can turn your electricity off, if you can route your electricity, so like your bedroom in particular, turning it off because it goes around in the walls, right?
Yeah, so what turning the Wi-Fi means off is start with your phone. Go into your phone, swipe up, and you'll see all the settings for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular. Put it on airplane mode. Okay, that will turn all those off. If there's something that's partially not all the way off, go into your settings and go swipe it. You have to go directly into that Wi-Fi and swipe it so it goes all the way off. They've made these phones so that they're always on. They're trying to keep them always on. So
yeah, and they are always on too, right?
They are always on. So this is something that you really want to do, is make sure your devices have these areas to turn off. Now these Wi-Fi routers, if you get them from the cable companies and such, they have alternating hotspots on it. So even if you basically shut the airplane mode off on theirs, there's already another one off. So you got to power them completely down so there's no power going to them. So that's
By the
where
way, somebody was asked saying, well, it's too cold, right? And this is me in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because when my fascia is open like it is, I become cold intolerant or heat intolerant. The one other thing that happens is I don't burn in the sun anymore. And I'm a blue-eyed, white-haired, white dude. And normally I'm the guy that burns like 45 minutes in the Southern California sun. I would normally be burned. I go all day in the sun now and I don't have any burning.
That's amazing. I mean, I still have to watch my nose and the scalp, but other than that, I'm kind of like you, where I take it in really well because I've cleaned up my intake, and then and I've been doing the fascia
Yeah,
maneuvers.
what's
And so,
burning is the stuck fluids in the fascial layers. That's what's burning.
yeah, and that's where people get cancer, is he gets in synthetic, margarine per se. It'll hold pockets in there, so the fascia can't flush it out, so it creates a pocket, and people get skin cancer. Then there's one of my neighbors. He's basically been a huge Tesla guy for a long time, and he just got skin cancer, and so he's mad at the sun. He's like, I gotta get out of the sun. And I'm like, so you're gonna blame the sun? And I said, did you ever put sunscreen on your whole life? Did you ever eat seed oils or margarine? And you've driven an electric car for 10 years, literally 10 years. He's had, 3 different, Teslas or 4. But it's the sun's fault. Like we've got to unlearn what's being told out there.
Listen, it starts off with the basics for me. Where I came from was the bones aren't structured. After that, everything about our body is a lie. The brain doesn't move the body. The muscles don't create the movement. The muscles respond and stabilize movement. After that, everything about our existence is a lie. And here's all the science, and people go, where's the science? And I'm like, all the science is done on dehydrated, sick, non-functioning people. We can't, I don't want to compare myself to people who are functioning, who are dehydrated and sick. That's science, but that's like stupid science. And all of the science about the human body is based on that right now. And I hear some smart dudes. I mean, people that I used to respect, people that are highly respected. I hear them talk right now, and I'm like, yeah, there's a problem here. If we were so smart and we had this figured out so much, then human beings wouldn't be so sick. And we are sick.
And a lot of them are missing it. They'll say some things. They'll lean in on kind of some of the direction we're going, but they don't get it. They don't get that the fascia is everything. It's the structure of the body. They don't get that you need the diatomaceous earth and the iris sea moss, to help flush and hydrate. They're missing these key elements, and they're still talking around the fascia system. Yeah. And you're the only one that really is talking to it. And so I keep sharing, and I want to ask everyone here listening to share this information with as many people as you can, because there's someone out there that needs help, and they might not tell you, but they're searching for it and they're looking for it. And it's just crazy. And I had a touching story last year. One of my friends, we met at Music and Sky. It was a group through Alphabetic, Dr. Berlando, which I'm going to connect you with him because you'll love his work. You got the same page on everything. And he was dousing the stage, and he was big. He's an architect, and he was big into biogeometry, and he was dousing the stage, and I was going to go up and speak at the event. So I walk up to him, and I go, hey, where do I stand to speak? And so that was my first connection with this guy. Well, several years later, we became friends, and a year ago, he asked me to go on basically it was his goodbye tour. He had cancer, and he was dying, but he didn't tell me. And I had a feeling he had something going on, but he was this big, strong dude, and I was helping him in a few other ways. And so I started to show him some stuff. I even told him about you, but he just didn't get it, or I didn't know the extent of it at that time. And so he recently passed. And I mean, this is a huge thing. Like, people are on their own journeys and they need help. And it's up to us to be the facilitator, to share this information and get it out there to help people get out of, these crazy situations. Because I know to be true that him doing what you're showing and teaching in your system and employing all this stuff could have allowed him to be probably one of the most amazing architects and biogeometry guys of all time. This
is going to happen to a lot of people. And, I have some very strong predictions about it. I won't go on here, but people who are in our system and in our Life to Artist program that you've heard. And we've been been accurate. We've been right with what it is. But there's a point where people are going to realize that cancer is a parasite and frequency allows that parasite to live. And so if we, in our native form, there's nothing on the planet Earth that can hurt the human body. And when we are participating in non-native activities, we become non-native after a while. And then we become susceptible to all the environmental issues. When we stop eating, our body produces stem cells. That means we're born to heal. And the healing mechanism is completely within us, but we have been trained and taught through society that we are dependent, that we're broken, we're fragile, and that even down to like when we get what we call a flu and we're like, I'm sick. Sickness is a condition that leads to death. We're not sick. Our body is actually healing itself at that moment. But we say I'm sick. So we have been taught and tricked into saying things, believing things that fundamentally are the opposite of what they are.
Exactly. And that's every industry. Every single industry has lied to us. Like a pharmaceutical, a drug and a mask is health. Electric cars are the best for the environment. And even higher octane gas is better for an engine. That's a lie. They just want us to pay more for gas. I mean, you go into the agriculture. Like, let's modify food and then riddle it with pesticides and herbicides and glyphosate and feed more people. I mean, this whole spectrum. And then you go in the dental world where, with our toothpaste, I'm all excited about that. Just helping people, just get the fewest ingredients in there to help with their dental health and help rebuild enamel. But like they've been saying, put mercury and then fluoride in your teeth to help with remineralize it and help your teeth. I mean, this whole thing, is a big lie, and you're the one that's the beacon of light that's really sharing it. So thank you for your voice and everything you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you for all the research and all the stuff you're doing. I really love your products. I'm looking forward to spending more time with you. I'm looking forward to you coming down here. Looking forward to coming to California to do an event. By the way, we locked in our event date for Austin, and maybe you want to come up for that. It's going to be May 18th, 19th. Yeah. But yeah, we're still looking at that California date. So I'm looking forward to seeing you doing some stuff in real time. And experimenting. That's really what I want to do. Thank you, Justin.
I'll let you know when, and then I'm looking at the site today for Orange County for you. So I'll get those back to you real soon.
Hey, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary. Goodbye, everyone.
Take care. Okay, everybody, if you want to get your rocks off, if you want to get rocks and get the EMFs off you, then you can find EMF rocks. You can go to our store and go to our partner store, and on there you'll find a discount code for EMF rocks. And guys, this is one thing where you are going to have to find out yourself what works for you the best. It's EMF rocks. You can follow him, and you can also get them off of our site. Super powerful. You will notice it, and like somebody was saying, they didn't notice the better sleep right away. You will start detoxing when you sleep, and you're getting proper sleep. Your body starts detoxing. So that is one thing that you're going to notice right away. I noticed it right away, and I know I see a lot of you guys carrying little rock packs around in your briefcases and stuff like that. It's really, really cool, and they have some other great products in there. Cool. Feel free to go check it out. But here's a man who's dedicated his life to helping people. And it's not about the money for him. It's about helping people. He gives back. He's out in the water every day. They're cleaning up garbage. They're helping with the ocean and sea life. These are just people that are living their belief system, and that's who we want to support. So anyways, today is Tuesday, tomorrow is Wednesday. We have Raw Reality. So Raw of Earth was down with him last weekend. Looking forward to talking to Raw tomorrow. We have the event coming up. If you haven't done it yet, we have our coaches doing an extravaganza event, and there's some cool stuff you get with it. There's a class coming up on this Saturday. What they're doing is we provide all the education, all the mentorship, all the training, everything for free. When they come here, It's free when they come here too. Food, everything. And all we ask for them to do is get tickets together. But some of these coaches have been out there helping you guys, doing classes, helping, mentoring, answering questions. And they come from areas where they don't even have enough money to buy a plane ticket, some of them, or life circumstances. So by you doing this, all the proceeds from this event go to helping them get here. We're going to spend 4 days in-person training, taking them to the next level so that they can offer more help, so they can take pieces of what they do and bring it back to the communities that they live in. So if you, and the class is going to be great. I mean, you're getting the best of the best of the best of all the coaches, and they're on the class coming up on this Saturday?
Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific. So you can,
$20, and then you can donate more to the fundraiser if you want.
yeah, tickets $20. And please, if you feel if they've impacted your life and you feel you can donate more, there's a spot to donate a bit more. And again, all of this money is being used to help in their education, to fund them to get here. And some of them are coming from Europe and everything like that. So it all helps, and looking forward to this on Saturday. We've also got coming up later this week. We've got tomorrow we have, and you could still get in on the nutrition course with Chris Gadowski. You could still get a ticket, and you can buy it. It's 12 weeks. I think we're going the third weekend. You'll get the recordings for the first 3 anyways, and then you can go forward and take the rest of it. That's still available. Go to our website. Also, tickets for New York. If you're in New York and you're in the reset, go out and work with people. Start doing partner maneuvers. Get there and commune with other people so you can get. New York is now a place where we're at. Doesn't Britt start this week?
Britt starts on Friday.
Friday, we have Coach Britt from Edmonton, Alberta, starting doing live, and it's at what time?
She's going at 2 o'clock. So I think it's 1 o'clock Pacific.
1 o'clock Pacific time. Coach Britt and
Shane's on Thursday.
Shane is coming up on Thursday. You notice that we're starting to give you more content. And we will be broadcasting in all channels soon, but we are creating a network of people that are here to help people. And the first and the most powerful way we do it is by having the conversation. Appreciate you all. We'll see you guys coming up tomorrow.